Hello friends, welcome to Kamath Astrology. Today's topic will cover a very unique planetary position which is happening right now. So if you see right now, Mars is aspecting both the houses ruled by Saturn, that is the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius, and Saturn is also aspecting both the houses ruled by Mars, that is Aries and Scorpio, and simultaneously Rahu is also aspecting Mars in Cancer. So now this is a very explosive combination. We will look at this combination in detail. Now this is the chart on 1st November 2024. I have taken the place as India's capital, that is New Delhi, and the time as 1 p.m. Now if you look at the red lines in this chart, it will show you that the Mars in Cancer sign, where it is debilitated, is aspecting two houses ruled by Saturn, that is Capricorn and Aquarius. And if you see the blue lines, Saturn is also aspecting two houses ruled by Mars, that is Aries and Scorpio. And the orange line shows Rahu aspecting Mars. So there is a very strong connection right now between Rahu, Mars and Saturn. In fact, Saturn is in Shatabisha Nakshatra, ruled by Rahu. So Saturn is strongly under the influence of Rahu. Mars receives the fifth aspect of Rahu, and therefore there is an Angarak Yoga through aspect in the sign of Cancer. Now the sign of Cancer represents India's third house, because India has the Taurus ascendant, and the third house represents neighboring countries, it represents our borders, it represents siblings and so on. But from a country's point of view, for India, it represents the borders, it represents neighbors, it represents neighboring countries. The other thing to add is there is a Shadashtak between Mars and Saturn. That is, Mars is 6 places away from Saturn and Saturn is 8 places away from Mars. So that is also not a good thing. Other thing is Mars is also aspecting Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto represents death, destruction, underworld, the world of drugs, followed by a rebirth. So Pluto represents death, destruction followed by rebirth. Capricorn represents the sign which represents common people. And Mars in Cancer is like a soldier who is extremely frustrated, because Cancer is the sign of nourishing. Mars does better on the battlefield than in a kitchen. So Mars is already frustrated here. Mars represents our inner anger. It represents aggression. It represents your passion. It represents the blood flow in your body. So in the sign of Cancer, Mars is already frustrated. Mars also represents the army, the police force. And with Rahu aspecting Mars, Rahu represents confusion, chaos, illusion. So it amplifies the negative qualities of Mars and thus forms an Angarak Yoga through aspect in the third house in India's chart. So we have seen similar combinations whenever riots or civil disputes happened in India. For example, during the 1984 anti-6 riots in India, there was this strong combination of Mars and Rahu. During the 1992-1993 Mumbai riots, following the demolition of a masjid, there was a Saturn-Mars conjunction. Similarly, in the year 2002, when there were the Godhra riots, that time also there was a strong Saturn-Mars conjunction. When the Russia-Ukraine war started also, Saturn and Mars were together. But this time this combination is very unique. you can see Rahu influencing both Mars and Saturn. Saturn is in Rahu's nakshatra, that is in Shatabisha nakshatra right now. Rahu is putting the fifth aspect on Mars. Mars is putting the eighth aspect on Saturn. Mars is aspecting both the houses ruled by Saturn, with Capricorn having Pluto in it and Aquarius having Saturn in it. Saturn is also aspecting the sign of Aries and Scorpio. And Scorpio definitely represents transformation, ups and downs, sudden events. So this is a deadly combination. Mars is also aspecting the sign of Libra, which represents balance and harmony. And Libra right now has Sun and Moon in it. Both the luminaries are there because this is Diwali time. So now this combination is going to be there for quite some time. And I see a very strong chance of religious disputes, civil riots, communal tensions, and border disputes or fights with a close neighbor like Pakistan by our army in the month of December. That is, this gets strongly activated from November 15th and may reach a peak around December. So this is a very dangerous combination, and it is like a precursor to riots, communal tensions, border disputes, warlike situations, terrorist attacks within the country. And therefore, the next 2 months are when we have to be very careful, avoid crowded places as much as possible, and stay very alert. That is the only message I want to give via this video. Of course, Jupiter's ninth aspect falls on Capricorn, Jupiter's fifth aspect falls on Ketu, and Jupiter's seventh aspect falls on the sign of Scorpio. So there is a saving grace, but Jupiter in Taurus is retrograde right now, and he is also with Uranus there. So this is a very explosive combination. Jupiter may not be able to give lot of protection here. So the next 2 months are when our country India needs to be very alert and careful, because such situations are bound to happen due to the planetary placements. And this is indeed a very unique placement where Mars is aspecting both houses of Saturn, Saturn is aspecting both houses of Mars, Rahu is controlling both Saturn and Mars and forming an Angarak Yoga in the third house in India's chart. Now, what is this Angarak Yoga? For those who don't know, Mars represents anger, Mars represents aggression, Mars represents force. Rahu is like oil added to fire. It amplifies the negative effects of Mars. So, if you see the past combinations also, whenever there were riots in India, whenever there were civil disputes, tensions, including the 1947 partition riots, these three planets have come together in some kind of combination or the other, either through conjunction, aspect, or being in each other's nakshatras and forming a very strong relationship. So this is a time for India to be careful. That is the only message I want to give in this video. The intent of this video is not to scare anyone, but we need to be alert, and the next 2 months definitely you will see these kind of situations coming up, especially in southern parts of India, northeast part of India, as well as the regions such as Bengal, Orissa, Assam and Mizoram. On the global front also, the warlike situations between Israel, Iran and Middle East countries are going to increase very soon. We also have the entries of other countries such as North Korea, South Korea into the Russia-Ukraine war right now. So these kind of new fronts will open till this combination remains active. And therefore, on the global front, This shows increase in warlike situations in the Middle East region for Israel, for Russia, Ukraine, and somehow I also see Europe getting involved after December 7th, 2024. So I've done a separate video on that. You can look at that video. But the intent of this video was to explain this combination, this unique combination of Saturn aspecting Mars's house, Mars aspecting Saturn's house simultaneously, Rahu controlling both Mars and Saturn. So definitely this points to such dangerous situations coming forward in India, and I urge you to remain safe, to be alert all the time. Now, one more thing I want to point out is when Mars enters Aslesha Nakshatra. That will happen around May 2025. Aslesha Nakshatra shows betrayal, and a country like China may betray India, and India may then enter into a war with a neighbor. Either China or Pakistan is what I see around May 2025. So friends, that's all from my end. If you like this video, please mark it as liked on YouTube. If you have not subscribed to our channel, you can do so by clicking the subscribe button. You can reach us through our email ID astrosevaworld@yahoo.com or through our website astroseva.tripod.com. So friends, thanks a lot. Bye. Take care and stay safe.